This is the brand that everyone on the internet is talking about, branding for Amazonia, and it is by the studio FutureBrand. This is to promote the 9 states of Brazil's legal Amazon as a tourist destination for Brazil and the world. And when you look at it, you're like, what am I looking at? Like, what is it? Like, you're like, oh, those are letter forms. Like, okay, but like those are really poorly made letters. And you're like, oh, wait a second. That is the river that they're talking about. And you can see that they went through and they were able to establish from aerial satellite imagery a letter form for every single piece of the river. And then with that, they're able to then create this really beautiful word mark that reads out Amazonia. Then you're like, okay, but maybe that's not as legible. Well, the cool thing is they're integrating different parts of like bold text to then intertwine with the larger overarching branding of Amazonia to then talk about specific parts. They have all different types of beautiful illustrations from all different artists that are all highlighting and celebrating different parts of the entire region and each culture that is reflected in that area. They want to encourage people to discover the largest biomes on the planet. You can see here, this is where the actual letter forms are coming from, and they're highlighting each different part they're using and being able to actually map it back to the content that they're talking about. The brand is a living identity, giving rise to a seal for Amazonian products, fostering the local economy and everything produced across the 9 Amazonian states, from food to fashion and local agriculture. Everyone online loves it. Their website is beautiful. 2 very big thumbs up. One from Peter Zhang about Jelly, this brand, which you've probably heard about before.
It's a billion-dollar brand built with almost zero advertising.
Bonnet Maman, I think that's how you say it.
Today, Maman is the #2 preserves brand in America. Over 100 million in US sales per year. From unsold plums from a small village, an unchanging jar design, and a secretive family that won't sell, sometimes the best brand strategy is refusing to have one.
Obviously, I've been in multiple states and I've seen it on the shelves before, but just because of the packaging, and you automatically assume that it's local.
The founding family today is worth over €1 billion.
And the fact that it's just very bare bones packaging.
By 1971, they needed a brand. So a friend designed the lid after the gingham curtains in his family's farm. And he hand wrote the label himself with a pen. The jar design hasn't changed in over 50 years. It looks homemade, and that's the point.
I also want to highlight this one from Lucas Mullen about the Masters.
I am obsessed with the way the Masters does their content. You know, the classic videos about painting curbs and grass cutting updates down to the 16th of an inch, even interiors tours that look like they're straight out of a museum.
And I like this for multiple reasons. One being, anyone can post about golf, and it's like, how do you divide that from how you are talking about your own brand? And the second part is the idea that like the people that make the Masters happen are the invisible people that don't really generally get to see for the most part. And they're the people that are painting the curbs, or they're the people that are switching the numbers or making sure that all the people are being sequestered off to the side. And being able to put them in the spotlight, I think also puts a really good taste in my mouth, because these things are full on productions that take thousands of people to pull off. Now, for a little bit of self-promotion here, this is the Masters reel that I posted yesterday. It is on my YouTube. Tell me, did I just watch the Masters or Mario Golf? Because Amazon just went crazy with their graphics. For context, CBS has been broadcasting the Masters since 1956 with a very reserved graphic package, especially for sports. A golf clap design system, if you will. Loud enough to be noticed, subtle enough to disappear. I mean, take a look at how little it's changed since 2019. Simple, golf cart-inspired, static graphics that are tucked in the corner. But golf's audience and the way that we consume media is evolving. So this year, CBS let Amazon take a new approach on a famous stretch of the course called Amen Corner. Amazon ran wild and threw basically every sports graphic at the screen. They had zones laid across the courses, in-studio 3D golf simulators, stats like ball speed, apex, carry, and curve. They layered drive history, sloping arrows, pop-ups, golf paths, skeletal overlays, all the loudness that you'd expect from American sports. It was a lot, but there was a real strategy behind it. Amazon built on the established CBS design system as a foundation, and since the 2 broadcasts ran simultaneously, switching between them still felt natural. Amazon got to go crazy while CBS got to stay true to tradition. And CBS also had some of their own cool animations, but they always had a strategic focus on the golf course as the hero. It felt like a win-win. They didn't alienate their existing audience, they just gave their viewers a choice. Either way, Rory McIlroy wore the Pantone 342 Augusta green jacket for the second time. So what do you guys think? I mean, I am obviously going to be biased. Like, I always want more motion graphics at any given moment. I'm also not somebody who genuinely watches golf. So it was interesting to break down and watch all the different stuff. As I was making the video for this reel, I recorded a bunch of stuff, some of the talking heads, some of the content, and then I went to bed. And then I woke up the next morning and I went back to the URL to get the content to continue to record overlays that I wanted to implement into my reel, and it was taken down entirely, like because I guess of like broadcasting rights or like limitations of like it had to be within a certain period of time in order for you to be able to watch it. So then it turned into a thing where like I had moments where I was talking about different things that I had saw and I wanted them in the reel, but I could not find any evidence of it anywhere online, like zero. Like I was looking specifically for this guy, Michael Breed, who was the guy that did the 3D golf simulator. And even when I was looking on his social profiles, like there was nothing to be seen. It's just a shame that in a lot of places, this idea that like we watch something on TV or on broadcast and then there's no evidence that it ever really happened. This is from a brand Inquirer on Instagram. Posted recently about Netflix recent update to podcasts. So you can see it has a really good motion identity to it. It has a lot of flavor to adapt to each different show and still highlight the show and be able to also show that they have variety. They're doing things like using the quotes and the idea of a podcast being something that you're talking about, being able to fit within a space. The idea of being able to use the Netflix branding and it still feel like Netflix, but you also are like, wait, this isn't specifically something that feels like the movies and TV shows. This feels like its own thing and has this nice light background, which I feel like is normally not associated with Netflix brand. I feel like normally they go with dark mode. I think it's really successful. I think it's really pretty, and great job to the team for putting this together. This is for anyone that uses Illustrator in any capacity because this is a universal kind of feature that people would be interested in figuring out. There is now a line center. So previously, if you wanted to bring something to the absolute center of a artboard, you had to click twice. And now in the beta, you can see that there's a new option to be able to click and just bring everything together in one. Let's talk about a weird rollout for a TV show. This is for the Audacity. This is a show that's all about Silicon Valley and kind of the craziness that it is. You know, their line is move fast and break people. The thing that I wanted to talk about, AMC has decided to release the full pilot for 6 weeks on TikTok. And it's not just in one long format, Quibi style or anything. It is in 3-minute episodes. So that means that the first episode is actually 21 videos that can be watched in succession on TikTok, and it's going to be available for 6 weeks. And I'm interested to see if it reads well, if it performs really well there. Are they going to be able to then continue to do that? But this just goes to show you that they're trying to reach an audience. It's also self-referential. Talking about new gadgets and tech, Silicon Valley, right? This is a new leaked image about the DJI Osmo Pocket camera. They recently came out with a recent update to the Osmo Pocket, but apparently there's this really reputable leaker, and he shared an image on X that shows this new Osmo, which has actually 2 lenses on it, and it's expected to actually be able to have an ultra-wide lens with a telephoto lens, so you'll be able to switch between the two. Adobe Project Indigo added some update, and this app was a really quiet launch, honestly. It is an app that lets you take pictures on your phone without them looking as much of a phone photo as a regular photo would. And this is all about the idea that when you take a picture, what picture is a picture, because algorithms are doing so much to our photos, and they're doing so much things without you asking them to do that, like, by the time you get to it, it's like, what are you supposed to do there? So this is a new update that actually adds support to iPads and other phones as well. You can see they actually also added it to the iPhone 17e. So now it has more supported devices. It says that if your iPad has at least 6 gigabytes of RAM, you're good to go. It's going to offer full manual controls, so it can shoot in JPEG and RAW DNG, and it's free to download, entirely free. It has filtering now, so you can switch between all photos, your Indigo album, and your favorites in a film strip and grid. This is an exciting update for Adobe Premiere, the video editor by Adobe. Adobe Premiere has traditionally already had some form of color in the color tab if you're working on different spaces of Premiere. But it seems like the team has really leaned in to be able to now really take a new refined approach to color. And this is color mode is color grading reinvented for video editors. It has an all new interface, so it maximizes your monitor and puts the image first on any screen. That means that the clip grid gives you a visual map of your entire sequence. So you can move panels, you can move the layout, you can have contextual heads up display to show you what you need as you need it, and then you can just push it out of the way, because so much of actually editing color is just being able to see as much as you can. Then we have new color controls like bidirectional controls that animate as you use them. It also has zones that lets you target certain spots like shadows and highlights for precise adjustment. It also has new cinematic looks that can be applied and stacked in one click, and they're built from modules, so they have individual color effects powered by real color science. They have every style as non-destructive, fully editable, and stackable. So that means, if you're going to be adding something and adjusting it, you're not going to be giving this compromise of saying, oh no, now I'm going to be messing with my entire thing. They also have, color at your command. It says grade one clip, a custom group, or your entire sequence. You don't have to copy and paste attributes to absolutely everything. If you go to the link that's available in the raindrop that is announcing this, they also have a rundown of every single feature that's in here. You have your classics like contrast, exposure, and temperature. There is things like texture now, though. You also have shadow zones and highlight zones, automatic hue isolation. There is a lot to be seen here. This is a story that I did not hear about, and I was shocked I did not hear about. No one told me about the $10 million 3-minute art heist from March. Sorry, was that just two small potatoes now that we had a $103 million Louvre heist? I mean, this one is being described as one of the fastest museum heists in recent history. 4 people walked off with a Cézanne, a Renoir, and a Matisse painting. Granted, they weren't huge paintings, but they were even going for a 4th, and when they triggered the alarm, they just dropped it, hopped the fence, and fled. Oh, well, maybe I didn't hear about it because the museum kept it secret for a week, hoping that the thieves would just come back. The founder of Art Recovery International said that they learned from the Louvre that you can just get into any museum if you cover your face and move quickly enough. Are laws and rules just an illusion? But also, what is everyone doing with the paintings? Stolen paintings are notoriously hard to sell. Even on the black market, they go for 10% of their value. And then, what do you even do with it if you buy it? If you have a party and the Renoir is just on the wall, aren't you worried someone is gonna turn you in or, I don't know, steal it from you? Apparently, they're used as bargaining chips for law enforcement, or they're ransomed back to the museums for a finder's fee, but less than 10% of stolen art is ever recovered, so that's not even really happening. There's just a bunch of artwork out there and no one's even showing it at parties. Or are they? You see it in movies all the time, but I feel like museum heists are on the rise. They're trending 2026. Back to some Adobe news. This is an update about 2 different features that launched in Adobe Firefly today. And this works with being able to work with precision flow and being able to work with AI image editing. This one comes from the actual editor and being able to click on a certain area and then be able to change the severity of the edits within the AI changes. So let's say that you are working on a piece and you have a different lighting setting. It will then actually generate multiple instances of it and then provides a slider so that you can then slide left and right to be able to get to different varying degrees of it. So that way you don't have to rewrite prompts and you don't have to redo it all over again. You can see that you can click into things. So this isn't necessarily generated. You can just take a picture and you can bring it in and say okay, I want to go in here and I want to adjust how the mountains are kind of lit here. You can use the select area, or you can even brush it in. And then you can see down here, there is a full on slider here where you can see that they make them snowy in this situation, or they kind of make them dark. So it gives you the ability to change the strength. It'll tell you how much editing strength is in there. So it's only 0.2 or not, to be how heavy handed you want it to be. So that was precision flow. And then there's AI markup, which kind of works in the same vein almost, and this is instead giving you a stronger control over what parts of the images are being updated and how they are also changing. This is now a tool that lives in the Firefly image editor, and it lets you brush to sketch or erase elements. It has a rectangle tool to target specific areas or add multiple targeted prompt boxes to guide the edit. And now you can draw, annotate, and add text prompts to show exactly how you want your picture to change. Just giving artists more control and the ability to make the changes that they want. Then we have some more Artemis updates. This is one that I came across Petapixel this morning, and it says NASA photography trainers say Artemis 2 astronauts exceeded their expectations. But apparently photographers Reichart and Willoughby both trained the Artemis 2 crew. That included building a mock-up of the Orion capsule, which is the capsule of Artemis 2 that they were traveling through space in. And then they built a giant inflatable moon suspended in the dark. And with that, they taught them how to be photographers. And I guess they knocked it out of the park. I mean, they did. I mean, a lot of the pictures that came out are really, really beautiful. And I think that goes to say as a testament to Reichart and Willoughby, because if you're being trained by an incredible mentor that is a fantastic photographer, then it's easier to pick up. And also, these guys are super smart. They say that all astronauts undergo 4 to 6 hours of camera training upon joining the program, so that you have a base level even before you are scheduled to go to space. And then once you have a space assignment, you then have to complete 10 photography classes, which amounts to about 20 hours of training. Now, one more story we have for news before moving on. We have this interesting update of YouTube and the MLB. Now, MLB Clubhouse is expanding onto YouTube, and MLB Clubhouse is a new kids-focused content creation for getting kids involved in baseball, which is great because, you know, sports are active and it's nice to have kids be able to also have interest in things that mean going outside. And it has original series spanning animation, player storytelling, highlights, educational, and creative content. I took a screenshot of some of their thumbnails here. They also have MLB Art Club, which I know everybody here is going to love. And this is learning how to draw MLB mascots and iconic symbols. The first season is going to have 34 episodes, which means 1 per club, which means your favorite baseball team is going to have a video all about how to draw the mascot, which is cool. So an investment in YouTube does not hurt by any means. The winner of this week's Font of the Week with 53% of the poll belongs to Raphaela, which is from the Maximiliano Sprovirio type. And this is a lively all-caps display typeface with vintage flair, and it's inspired by the 1970s Bookman-style lettering. It has expressive serifs, ball terminals, decorative swashes, striking the right balance between formal structure and playful attitude. It has regular bold shadow, shadow solo, and a handy set of flags. And this family brings class and style to packaging, posters, logos, book covers, advertisements, to name a few. And it says, anywhere your words need typographic warmth and charm, consider Raphaela. And they got some real big like swoops and stuff. And then if you don't need the swoop for any specific letter, they also have like a small caps version of it that you can then move around. So I'll be sure to put that in the raindrop and you'll be able to check it out. Make sure you follow me on YouTube as Ryan Selvy. Make sure you follow File New on your favorite podcast platform. My name is Ryan Selvy. This is File New, your #1 resource for creator and designer news. Thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to the mods. Take care, and I'll see you all next week at the same time, same place, for File New, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Thanks again.